Let's get into it. Chicago has taken a stand. They've taken a stand. These residents in this community have taken a stand. They voiced their opinions. They voiced it very loud, and you'll be amazed to see the impact that these people had. Now, I'm going to be showing you some clips from a city council meeting where they are they're going pretty hard at this Democratic mayor. His name's Brandon Johnson, and they are really giving it to him, really giving him their opinions. And then I'm going to show you the result of that city council meeting. Then we're going to talk about, or you're going to hear from some of the residents talking about the disrespect that they've been enduring from these illegal immigrants who have pretty much taken over their neighborhood and have scared a lot of residents inside. Now, you're going to hear from one resident. His name's Lawrence. You're going to hear from his wife. You're going to hear from another person. And you're going to hear a bit of the city council meeting right now. This video was only an idea that I had to do because someone in the comment section said that illegal immigrants in Chicago are able to own guns. And I thought, this person is obviously misread something, but you're going to be surprised at the answer that I found. I'm going to be showing you a little bit of that as well. Let's kick it off with these residents voicing their opinion directly at the mayor, which is that man right there. Let's get into it.
If you want to bring the citizens of Chicago home, them people that's already in shelters, especially our veterans, they died for us. They died for us, especially our veterans. Put them in CHA property. House them. You ain't got to spend no dime as much as the millions and billions that been spent for these immigrants here, these migrants here, these asylum seekers here, which ultimately are illegal here. And there's people here that been going on the radar. They can't get a green card or work permit, and they've been here 20, 30 years. Seniors panhandling on the street because they can't get nothing. I'm for the people.
But when anything is of scarcity, they take from us first. That's why we are in here so loud, screaming in your ear every week about our issues. Most of our time has already come, but we have to fight for our kids. Because they're the ones you're going to have to worry about in a minute.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments.
That was gang related. People do not feel safe even going to the park anymore. We have seen an increase in alcohol use, drug use, cars being broken into, and not only that, but people are also breaking into garage doors. Someone seeking asylum doesn't do that. When my family came here, my family benefited from the Reagan administration during that time frame. That type of immigrant, people came here to work, they came here to build, and they came here to respect. The people that are moving in here now are not respecting us. They're not respecting our neighborhood. They're littering everywhere. People don't feel safe. And I'm also very disappointed in Andre Vasquez and Carla Ramirez Rosa. For some weird reason, you all are getting media time, yet we literally had a press conference on Sunday talking about this, yet for some weird reason, the media chose to pick Andre Vasquez's side and not our side, and that's why we're here. Just to let you know, as you all know, that the Democratic National Convention is going to be happening in November.
Just for a second,
and
sir.
just to let
Hold on. Stop his time. Continue.
Just to let you know that the Democratic National Convention is going to be here in November, and there's a growing number of people in the Hispanic community that will not be voting the same way as they did before. If we do not, in August, if we do not get issues resolved, people will not be voting how they used to before. And this is for everybody.
That's a very good message to send. People will not be voting the same way again. There's another woman who said we have to stop asking you for things and we have to start demanding. So they really came out, the local level, as much as people feel like it's completely useless, you got to go out to your local level and make your voices heard and tell the people who are, in charge, kind of, when it's really you, the people, let them know what you're seeing, what you're feeling. It feels useless because we all know how things tend to work, but sometimes it actually does work. And this is one of those instances. Let's go.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Alderman Raymond Lopez of Chicago's 15th Ward. I've prepared a brief statement regarding today's announcement. Today we stand at the Gage Park Fieldhouse, proudly sharing with the community the announcement made earlier today by Mayor Brandon Johnson that all Park District facilities, like this one, used to house migrant asylum seekers will be returned to their respective communities. Thank you to the community members that have organized within our community, spoken at events, appeared before City Council, and circulated petitions. Your voices have been heard. 10 months ago, while hundreds of migrant asylum seekers were left sleeping in police stations across the city, we stepped up here in the 15th Ward to help give them dignity and relieve pressure on the many police districts that were still housing them. I fully intended at that time that the Gage Park Center be a temporary shelter and had hoped that all wards would share in the burden this federal crisis had created in our own backyard. Sadly, that day never happened. However, our model of engaging with community, religious, and other stakeholders became a model for wards seeking to be a part of the solution. And Gage Park should be proud of that. There are limits to our generosity, though, as criminal activity by those growing restless within the Fieldhouse grew. As we begin to see the removal of the migrant asylum seekers from the Gage Park Fieldhouse, I trust many of those crime categories that have risen over the last few months will subside.
Wild. So they're actually getting their field house back and their park, and this issue is going to be solved. Now, solved for the most part, right? It takes more people speaking up, getting in front of people who, are seemingly in charge. You really got to make yourself known. Now, this is one of the residents. He makes some great points here. Just both of these residents that I'm going to show you right now. There's two of them. This first guy, Lawrence, and Lawrence, then his wife, and then another gentleman. So listen to this. Listen to the things this guy's talking about.
LAWRENCEJONES.
Why don't you talk to us about what services you use here at the field house that you're happy to obviously be able to see them back?
Well, I mean, the biggest one is the one with the people with special needs, that they use the park house as their, probably many of them, as their only outlet to socializing with others. And that was a big one. It's a really big one. There's a swimming pool that our kids have not been able to use. There's a lot of programs that a lot of people, I watch huge crowds of people coming in and out, and that disappeared, I'm not anti-immigrant by any means. My wife is Brazilian. She's an immigrant. My friends here are immigrants. The problem is that we're bringing people over here that have no background check. We have no idea who they are. Somebody was murdered over here, right across the street. My kids can't go outside. Nobody's kids can go outside. This park has, they come in clean, like everybody's not here today because you guys are here, but they're parking on the side of the streets where our neighbors park. And so we got permit parking, and they still have problems with permit because they don't honor the rules or the laws here. Now, if you're gonna come here, I believe come here legally or illegally, whatever the case may be, but you come here for need, not to be taking advantage of the system and to not get a job. Nobody else has complained about not having work permits. Everybody has found a job that's come over here. And I am, like I said, 100% pro-immigrant. But this has gone on long enough. These people are so far disrespecting, stealing our mail, urinating in front of the gate, in front of my daughter, who called my wife. It's like, what's this guy doing over here? And he was trying to get into the house. This is not respect. And none of these people over here understand what that is, and maybe they should go back home. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Are you relieved that the mayor has come through with a plan?
No, you know what? This is the thing. Like I said, we need to have background checks. These people who have criminal backgrounds, everybody that's over here, now we have rights, we can get guns, we can hold guns. That's a perfect storm waiting to happen. You know, there's so many things that are wrong with the laws right now. The catch and release, the zero bail program. These people are coming over, they're gonna take advantage of all of that. And they have guns, now they can carry guns, and they're driving cars and they don't have insurance. This is not how things used to be, you know? And he needs to check everybody that's here. And the people that are not here for any good need to be sent back. They need to be out of here, out of the city. We don't need them we don't need any more problems than we already have. That's what I feel.
Thank you, sir. I'm sorry about the interruption.
No worries.
That's wild. Yeah. Very, very surprising to hear. Kind of not, because, you know, honestly, Trump said all of this as this was happening into this whole thing. He said that the people that are coming over are not the best, and everybody called him xenophobic and hateful rhetoric and all this stuff. And now the actual people who are just within walking distance of these guys coming over are saying the exact same thing. Except that they're seeing it. They're seeing it live in front of them. You know, talking about some guy urinating and his child can see it. His daughter, no less. That's just crazy. But here's the thing that stood out to me. First off, the person in the comments who was like, people in Chicago can own guns. I was like, whoa. Because he said it and I was like, oh, I remembered that person. I'm like, let me look into this. But mostly he said they can park. They park. They have cars. I find that very interesting. That's not the image that comes to mind. I'm going to show you a little bit about this whole a gun issue, this gun ownership issue. It's not the image that comes to mind that these people come over, they're put up in these places. I never think of them buying cars. And it's not from like they're not dumb people coming over, obviously. But you just never think they're in the position. You just got to another country. You don't have a place to live. It's hard to work. Like, how do you buy a car? I had to work a long time before I could get a new car. Like, a long time. I'm in my 30s. Like, I got my first legit car in my 30s. Like, what? How'd you do that so quick? It took me a long time. The other times, it's just bus. You know, you're taking a bus everywhere. So it's very interesting to hear that they have cars now, and stealing mail and everything that he said, like, you know, wild. But it's actually true. They actually can purchase firearms. I had no idea that this was a real thing. I had no idea that this was really going on. So a judge ruled that illegal immigrants can carry guns. Now, I'm going to show you a video about this as well, about how this judge came to this determination. But yeah, legal immigrants can possess guns under Second Amendment. Federal judge rules. Here, I'm going to show you an article or a video about this. Here, let's get into it.
A judge in Illinois just ruled illegal immigrants have the right to keep and bear arms. So rather than the circle with the line through it, we need like a thumbs up emoji there. The case is pretty simple. Police arrested an illegal immigrant living in Chicago with a gun back in 2020. They charged him for violating the federal law banning illegal immigrants from having guns. It's been on the books for a long time. Judge Sharon Johnson Coleman just decided the Second Amendment applies to him, the illegal immigrant, like everybody else, so he can have a gun. In her decision, she wrote that Humberto Flores received and used the handgun solely for self-protection and protection of property during a time of documented civil unrest in the spring of 2020, the summer of love. Court documents show Flores fired the gun at moving cars during the BLM riots in Chicago. He argues police officers warned him about looters who were approaching his neighborhood. Key to this ruling is that the judge says Flores' conduct heavily impacted her decision. He had no criminal record and was not considered a risk to public safety. This case is just one of many challenging that federal statute that prevents illegal immigrants from possessing a firearm. There are cases unfolding in states nationwide. Shan Wu is here, former federal prosecutor, turned criminal defense attorney, once a very senior officer at the DOJ. Good to see you. Should I be shocked that an Obama appointee found a gun control law that she didn't like?
No, but I think it's very fascinating that this whole push towards expanding the deference to the Second Amendment in some ways has kind of come full circle here, where something that really seems counterintuitive, the idea that someone who's not here legally still has that right, and you can't use this particular statute, which is commonly known as the felon in possession statute. But the way it's written, she really zeroed in on the language. He's not a felon. And the gray area, of course, is whether or not his status, and frankly, I think the way he was using the gun calls a little bit into question, you know, how peaceful he is.
No, I mean, I guess the question, though, is what constitutional rights and protections then become absolute, right? Because illegal immigrants are still counted in a census. That is a huge deal in terms of representation. But then where do we get to right to work, or right to vote, or right to have a license to practice medicine, or right to have a license to do all of these other things? Isn't this opening Pandora's box?
It could be. I do think, I hate to say this, but I think Congress would have to be a little bit more powerful here, because there's no question that the Constitution applies to people who are not here legally. They're, quote, persons under the Constitution, so that makes perfect sense. The problem here is you need to draw the statute more narrowly, and you might have to actually specify that being here in a non-legal status would also make you not eligible to carry the firearm.
Interesting.
That's wild, man. I had no idea that that was a thing. I had absolutely no idea. So now these people can, you know, this image is being conjured up now because of these residents. They come here, they get put up in a place. Some of them get put up in hotels. Then the next thing you know, they can buy cars. They already have a phone that was given to them. There's some kind of debit card with obviously enough money to purchase a car somehow. Like, I don't even understand how that works. You know, that gentleman suggested that they don't have insurance. This is a recipe for bad things to happen. You know what I mean? I don't know. It seems really, really weird. Like, you open up the border, right? You undo everything Trump did. People flow in. Then there's one governor, ships them all over the country. Then when they're in those countries, then when they're in those states, all of a sudden sometimes, I don't know how it is in every state, but at least Chicago, they're able to own guns. They got cars. So that means they don't have to stay in Chicago or wherever. They can go far. They're armed, and nobody knows who they are. I don't know. Very interesting. It's like they're living in like the 1920s. The 1930s. No one knows who you are. You just show up. You leave whenever you want. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I often say, I've been saying it for so long, but, you know, seems intentional. Definitely seems intentional. It's hard to make a case that it's not intentional when you're seeing all these things happening at once. And it goes back to, you know, on my main channel, you know, I have something where one of Rogan's guests talks about what's going to happen next. And he suggests that there's going to be some kind of riots that are going to pop off that have to do with immigration, that have to do with illegal immigrants. And what is that going to look like? You know, is it going to be them? Like, he suggests that it's going to be them. Is it going to be people fed up with them? Is it going to be a clash of the two? But it seems very possible now. You know, you always have the image of someone who's very, and let me tell you, like, this image is real. There are really people who are just down on their luck. They were down on their luck where they were. They got over here and they're like, oh, if I can just work, I'll work so hard and I'll do so much for my family. And this is the opportunity. Those people exist. You can't act like none of those people, like that's not a real story that's happening in thousands of these immigrants. But there's a lot that's not happening. You know, if you're going to admit that that story is real, there's also the story of, okay, you know, I'm in this foreign land, or, you know, outside of America. I'm out of jail. You know, I've been in jail for a few years. They're telling me that if I just pay some money, I can get a escort through to the border and get to America. Once I get to America, I can do whatever I want. My friend told me that I'm going to get some money. I'm going to get a phone. I'm going to be able to buy a car. I can do this, do that. They're going to put up my food and shelter. All right, let's get over there. You know, if those stories are real, then there's also probably a story of, hey guys, we're a gang. I'm going to get over there. I'm going to let you know how it works. And then you guys got to get over there. And now there's 10 of us. And we're back together, guys. This is really happening in Michigan. This Chilean gang. All these Chilean people got together. They probably knew each other back in Chile. It would make sense. And now they're like, okay, let's go rob some houses. Like, that's a real thing that's happening. It's not a xenophobic thing. It's not a prejudice thing. That's a real thing that's taken place in Michigan, which is what forced the Michigan police force to endorse Donald Trump, because they don't feel like they have any power. And now they want immunity. Wild. Now, in my research, you know, I heard this first resident talking, this guy, and he was talking about how his wife's an immigrant. And then all of a sudden I see this woman who's clearly an immigrant as well, and she's talking about the same situations as him. So I could gather that this is actually his wife. Listen to this.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I'm a constituent of the Gage Park neighborhood. Since June, you decided to turn our park into a shelter. Our community is running lawless, with illegal Venezuelans taking over our streets. We feel like prisoners in our own homes. As a taxpayer, we can't even enjoy our own park anymore. We are unable to take walks. Our amazing programs have been removed, especially for the disabled children that live near this park. We worked hard to improve our park, our neighborhood, but because of your irresponsible move, this is not impossible. Their illegal cars are parking on the residents' permit street. They are selling food without permit, causing traffic, yet no police reinforcement to help us. Guys are standing on the side of the building, doing God knows what, riding their bicycles around the neighborhood and looking to break into our houses, garages, and cars. Smoking weed and drinking in the park in broad daylight. You guys threw us to the wolves, and now we have to deal with the trouble you brought to our neighborhood. Unlike the illegals, as a legal immigrant myself, I know what I had to do to enter your country. I was required to do a background check, vaccinations, pay an expensive fee, bring a work letter from my previous job. Shall I go on? Some might be good, but the others are here to cause trouble. For example, my neighbors had their car broken into, packages stolen from their front yards, and someone pee on my property. Yes. I'm requesting Alderman Vasquez, Mayor Johnson, and those who made this decision to walk our neighborhood and see what's happening there. You want to look good by helping them, yet we taxpayers are left behind. We are now being put in harm's way because of the crimes they commit in our neighborhood. Your no-consequence policy tells them it's okay to commit these damn crimes. Now, what about the citizen and the legal immigrants who came before them? We're still waiting years for our own families to enter this country legally. It is frustrating to see our voice censored and feeling hopeless. Finally, we know the illegals are returning in the middle of the night, parking our residential permit area, acting if the shelter is a bed and breakfast. They need to leave now. We want our park back, and we demand that. It's not fair. You guys putting us in jeopardy. Kids cannot go outside. 2 weeks ago, someone was peeing in my yard. A lady grabbed a branch of a tree and took my package from Amazon. They are break to cars. 6:53 a.m. I have videos to prove. Break into cars.
You know why I really like this one? Because you can tell I wouldn't say she just got to America, but she is still very foreign. You know, she's speaking English well, but you can tell she's very new. And even she has an issue, because so many times this issue is painted as if, and you know, it's the regular tactic, that if you don't support this type of thing, then you're not a good person and you're prejudiced and you don't like brown people and you don't like black people and you're xenophobic and, you know, you're hateful. But you can't say that about a lot of these people. One guy's married to a woman who came over illegally who's an immigrant. Another guy his parents are immigrants, and you can just you can't keep on using that, and that's why it's so good. Well, it's hard to say, but it's good that it's happening to people who could be so vocal about it, because a lot of the times when this type of stuff is being supported by someone like Mayor Johnson or by somebody who's like just a very left-leaning person who doesn't live anywhere near it, it's what's called, and I just learned this, it's what's called a luxury belief. You have this luxury belief where it's a luxury for you to just say, let them in. What's the problem? Who cares? You got to be fair. Come on. There's no person is illegal. And it's like you live in this upper incredible neighborhood where it's a gated community. And it's like, yeah, of course you're going to say that. It's fine for you to say that because that issue's never going to touch you. You know? Luxury belief. I'm going to remember that. Very interesting. Heard that from Chris Williamson. If you don't know his podcast, he's a great podcast. Great podcast. Look it up. You'll know it's him because he looks like David Beckham, basically. English guy. But yeah, it's a luxury belief. And now you're seeing the people who don't have that luxury, the people who are actually going through it, they're making their voices heard. And they're talking about how bad some of these people can be. And again, it's not everybody. Just some. Just some. Here's another resident, and I'm going to end it off on this because this was the happiest note, in my opinion. He didn't know what was going on, and he just heard that his community is going to be getting their park back. And the kids are going to be able to get their swimming pool and their little amenities and the things that keep them out of trouble. It's Chicago. It's so needed to have these things.
Man, just made my day. I cannot believe it.
Wow. Why do I listen to stuff like that? I don't know, man. I got a problem.
He just made my day. I was coming in here to argue, but now I'm happy. He just gave me the news that by the end of this month, everybody should be out of this park. Oh man, that is awesome. I've lived here for the longest time, and I've never had as many issues as I've had in the last 6 months. And I don't know, y'all that see me, I've talked to every single news channel as possible. And it's not because we're anti-immigrant like everybody's trying to say. It's because we are neighborhood oriented. We protect our neighborhood, and we want to care for our neighborhood. Since I've been here, I have 2 kids, a 9 and a 4-year-old, which have not been able to use this park. My wife can't take them to that park down the street. Why? Because I don't know where they're at right now, but usually they're all around here. They do anything from smoking, drinking, everything on here. After supposedly got security here, they will go down the street and smoke right in front of my house. I don't want my kid to see that. Why would I want my kid to see someone smoking and loitering in the streets? And that's what, when he just told me this, he just made my day, honestly. I'm gonna go home and, man, I'm gonna do a jig. Because, man, that's how happy I am. You guys don't realize it. I work long. I work long days here. I get home, they don't have no place to live, but they have cars. You get here, you come here at night, 10, 10:30, 11 o'clock, there's no parking in this block. I have a senior citizen that lives 2 houses down from me that I literally will have to come out and help him, save a spot for him, so we have to park 2 blocks down the street and come here and walk. Literally, he cannot even walk. That's how bad it felt. But no one cared about him. No one listened to him. And that mayor that said that, oh, we got this under control, all he does is grin. That's his little grin that he does. I don't understand. Man, oh yeah, look. He just made my day. I'm telling you, he made my day. I didn't know, my wife would say, you want to go over there? Go, what for? No one listens to us. What is the point of talking if no one's going to listen? But I guess my wife was right. Let's go see what's going on. Let's let them know one more time. Oh, I guess this time it worked. Oh, Alderman, another hug.
Sir, can you tell us your name, please?
My name is Julio Campo.
C-A-M-P?
Julio. Last name O-C-A-M-P-O. Well, that's up to the mayor. That's where he gets paid the big dollars. See, the aspect is all it is a big money grab. Everybody says they're not getting any money. So where are they getting things to buy cars from? Seriously. I mean, think about this. You know how much I spend in groceries right now? I spend literally $300 in groceries. $300. Why? Because I have 2 growing kids and I have a wife that depend on me. I go to work every day. You think they're gonna move out if you keep on giving them money? I'd be foolish. I even told my wife we should go move in there. Then I don't have to pay $300 for 1 week of groceries. Everything's cost is high right now. I had literally got a raise at work, and my wife said, "Oh, it should be good. You got a raise." I said, "Have you been looking at things how high they are? $300, 1 week of groceries. That's now. Let's see the mayor. Does the mayor care about me? No. Because if he really cared about me, he would be like, Julio, here's $300 for your groceries this week. No, I have to get up every morning at 5 in the morning, go to work. Every morning and every night come and fight for parking on the taxes that I pay, on the permit parking that I have, they don't respect. See, everything's based on respect. If they will find a way to respect, I grew up as an immigrant. I came as an immigrant when I was 4 years old. My mother told me, well, as you come to a different country, you gotta learn how to respect things. The people around you, you respect. You work hard for what you have. I've worked hard for it, and I've gotten to where I'm at. I'm not exactly on the American dream yet, but I'm still working on it. But I'm not dependent on someone else to give it to me.
You were in charge.
If I was in charge, I theoretically would say, listen, first of all, we have to control the border, because you just can't let, how many years have we always fought about, we got to protect the border, protect this, protect that. All of a sudden, y'all want to do it in 1 year? It can't be done. Everybody's going to throw the blame, put the blame on somebody else. Oh, so-and-so should do it, so-and-so should do it. But no one's going to do it because all a money grab. When everybody realizes that everything that happens because so-and-so, all those aldermen that say, oh, we shouldn't evict them. Why? Because they're getting a cut of the pie. I assure you, if I was getting a cut of the pie, I'll probably be told, oh, you know what, I think I could put up with it for another month. I'm getting some money out of it. That's all it is. It's big money grab. Sí, señor.
Now, I think they have some Spanish publications, so then he just starts speaking in Spanish. He might say the same thing. I'm not really sure. Don't know Spanish that well, just a little bit. Pequeños. But yeah, man, that one thing that he said about the respect, that one thing he said about, you go to another country, you have to respect it. And that was his mother, who was also an immigrant, telling him that. And that's the thing that seemed to be missing. But even past that, because that's them, but there's also the issue of the border in this whole situation to begin with. If Remain in Mexico wasn't taken away, they wouldn't have this issue. And it goes right down, the residents wouldn't have this issue, but also the mayor, Brandon Johnson, heavily left-leaning. I think he has some WEF ties. He wouldn't have this issue. They would be in Mexico right now. And Mexico would figure out a way to make this stop, because since Biden has taken away Remain in Mexico and undid everything Trump did within his first day in the White House, there would have been, 1.9, 2.7, 3.2. So we could say 5, 6, there'd be 7 million people sitting in Mexico right now. More than 7, but I'm just rounding quickly. But that's how many people would be in Mexico right now. Mexico would then figure it out. They'd be like, okay, this needs to stop. We need to stop this flow. There's people coming from, we need to stop. But because they knew, they're just going to go over. It's fine. Yeah, man. It's sad, but again, it's great because like this guy said at the very beginning, this guy right here, he said people are not going to vote the same way. And that's great. Good. Because people need to start waking up. And, sometimes all it takes is you need to hear a guy talk on stage to vote differently. Other times it takes a whole bunch of immigrants taking over your parks and taking things away from your kids and your community for you to understand, oh, okay, that's what that guy, I didn't like that guy. I don't like the way those people operate. I've been fed this whole lie that they're racist and they don't like me. But the people who do like me let this terrible thing happen to my community. So now I have to vote differently. That's essential. That's the best thing that could come out of all this, honestly. Let me know what you guys think about what happened in this community, how they took a stand, how they got their stuff back, their park, and hopefully their parking and their community back. And let me know what you think about the gun ownership, because that was something when whoever said that in the comments, thank you for letting me know about that. If you got any more things you want me to look into, please let me know, because that thing blows my mind. This is a serious recipe for disaster. That's all I can say. Like, subscribe. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. Thanks so much. I'm out.